The objective of this lesson is to decompose factors and use the distributive property to multiply. In the previous lesson, students learned repeated addition as a strategy for multiplying two-digit by one-digit factors. This lesson serves to transition from repeated addition to decomposing numbers and using the distributive property. This lesson assumes that students are comfortable with multiplying single-digit numbers by multiples of 10 from third grade. Reviewing this concept might be necessary with your child. Let's take a look at our first problem. This small bale of hay weighs 43 pounds. How much weight is 5 bales of hay? If each bale weighs 43 pounds and there are 5 of them, then I can use repeated addition to find my answer. I'll add 43 5 times. 43 plus 43 plus 43 plus 43 plus 43. If I start with the ones place, I add 5 threes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Or I could skip count by 3 5 times. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Or just multiply 5 times 3, which is 15. Now, if I compute 5 times the value in the tens column, that would be 5 times 40, which equals 200. If I add 5 groups of 3, or 15, and 5 groups of 40, or 200, my answer is 215 pounds of hay. Let's write what we did with equations. Our problem was 5 times 43. We started by decomposing 43 into tens and ones, or 40 plus 3. Now we need to multiply this by 5. The distributive property tells us when one factor is decomposed into addends and the other factor is multiplied by each addend, the partial products are then added together. The 5 must be distributed to all addends, so we multiply 5 times 40 and 5 times 3. 5 times 40 equals 200, and 5 times 3 equals 15. Then we add these together to get 215. Let's try another problem and break our larger number into tens and ones and use the distributive property to find our answer. I have 35 students in my class, and every student has 4 books to read by the end of the term. How many books will our class have read by the end of the term? If there are 35 students and each student reads 4 books, I set up my problem as 4 times 35. If we break apart the larger numbers into tens and ones, that would be 30 plus 5. Now I distribute the 4 to both addends. 30 times 4 plus 5 times 4. That gives me 120 plus 20, which equals 140. My students will read 140 books by the end of the term. The distributive property will continue to become an effective strategy as your child works with multiplication with larger numbers. They will understand how and why the algorithm works. In this lesson, we learned how to decompose factors and use the distributive property to multiply.